My girlfriend said, I need space, don't contact me for a while, then posted vacation photos with her ex. I respected her wishes, changed the locks, and sold her car that was in my name. When she returned, her key didn't work and her parking space was empty. Original post I, 30M. Guess I should start at the beginning. It's still kind of raw. Not gonna lie. About 3 weeks back, my girlfriend Emily, 28F, dropped a bomb via text. We'd been together nearly 2 years, living together in my apartment for the last year. Things felt okay? Maybe a bit distant lately, but nothing alarming. Or so I thought. The text came on a random Tuesday evening while I was prepping dinner. Emily, things feel complicated and I really need some space to think, figure things out. Don't contact me for a while, please. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Oof. Gut punch. Space is never good. But okay, trying to be the understanding boyfriend, I texted back, me, okay, Emily. I understand. Take the time you need. Didn't hear anything else. Radio silence, which she asked for, right? So I respected it. Moped around the apartment for a couple of days, confused, hurt, wondered what complicated meant. Work was a welcome distraction. Then Friday night rolls around, bored, scrolling through Instagram. And there it is. A mutual friend had tagged Emily in a post. Pictures. Bright sunshine, beach, cocktails. Emily, looking ridiculously happy. Arm in arm with Jordan, 29M. Her ex, the one she swore was ancient history. Captioned something like, living our best lives, island getaway reunited. My blood ran cold. Space to think meant a tropical vacation with her ex-boyfriend. While asking me for no contact, the hurt morphed into something else. A cold, hard clarity. She didn't just want space. She wanted me out of the way while she test drove her old relationship, keeping me as a backup plan in my own apartment. Using my resources while explicitly telling me to leave her alone. Okay, fine. You want space? You want no contact? Granted. Saturday morning, first thing. Locks. Called a locksmith. Changed the deadbolt in the knob lock on my apartment door. Cost about $250, worth every penny for the peace of mind. Her key was now useless. The car. This requires context. About 6 months ago, Emily's old clunker finally died. She needed a reliable car for her job, social media marketing, lots of client meetings apparently, but her credit wasn't great. I agreed to help. I bought a used but very decent Mazda CX-5, maybe $18. Crucially, the loan, title, and insurance are all solely in my name. The understanding was she'd make payments to me, which she did mostly, and it was her car to use. But legally, it was 100% mine. I never added her to the title or insurance. She treated it like hers, decorated it with fluffy dice, the works. I took the spare key, which I always kept, drove it to a trusted dealership nearby that buys used cars. Explained the situation briefly, need to sell, registered owner. They gave it a quick look, offered an initial fair market estimate, around $16,500, pending a full inspection and title check. I agreed to proceed and signed the initial paperwork to start the process. They said it would take a few business days to complete the inspection, finalize the offer, and handle the title transfer. I left the car there, took an Uber home. Her designated parking spot at the apartment complex? Empty. Her stuff. Didn't touch it yet. It's still in the spare room closet. Not throwing it out, that feels petty. But she wasn't getting back into my apartment without talking to me, which she explicitly requested not to do. Felt strangely calm, like performing necessary surgery. Hurt? Yeah, deep down. Felt like a total idiot. But anger wasn't the main driver, it was logic. She asked for space and no contact. She demonstrated the relationship was over by vacationing with her ex. I was simply respecting her request and protecting my assets and my home. Now I wait. According to Instagram, the best life vacation lasts another week. Let's see what happens when she gets back and her key doesn't work. Update 1. Update 1. Well, she's back. Showtime. It happened last Tuesday evening, about 9 p.m. I, Ryan 30M, was just watching some TV, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. Heard keys jangling outside the door, then the scrape of a key in the lock. Silence. More scraping. Frantic now. Then, pounding. Knock, knock, knock. Ryan, what is going on? Open the door. Emily's voice. Annoyed, not panicked. Yet. Took a deep breath. Opened the door just a crack, kept the chain on. She was standing there, suitcase beside her, looking tanned and upset. My key isn't working. Did something happen to the lock? Me, no. I changed them. Calm voice. Level. Blinks. You what? Why would you do that? Me, You asked for space and no contact, Emily. I gave it to you, permanently. What are you talking about? I just needed some time. You can't just lock me out. Saw the vacation photos with Jordan. Looks like you figured things out. Her face went from annoyed to furious with a flash of panic. Cut. Emily. That was just a trip. It didn't mean anything. We're friends. Raises eyebrow. Friends who go on romantic island getaways while asking their current boyfriend for space? Got it. Ryan, don't be ridiculous. Let me in. My stuff is in there. Where's my car? Her eyes darted to the empty parking spot. Where's my car, Ryan? The entitlement was radiating off her. The sheer assumption that everything would just be waiting for her. Me. Firstly, it's my apartment. Secondly, it was never your car. It's my car, legally in my name, and I'm selling it. It's at the dealership now. Jaw drops. You're selling it? You can't do that. I paid for that car. You made payments to me towards its use, Emily. You didn't buy it. The title and loan are in my name. The sale process has started. This is insane. You're stealing from me. I'm calling the cops. She actually pulled out her phone. I just shrugged. Me. Go ahead. Call them. Explain that your ex-boyfriend changed the locks on his own apartment after you asked for no contact and went on vacation with another ex. Explain that he's selling his own car, titled and registered solely in his name. Let me know how that goes. She hesitated, phone halfway to her ear. Then her expression turned venomous. Emily. You horrible person. You planned this. Me? You planned a vacation with your ex and asked me for silence. I respected your wishes and dealt with the consequences. You don't get to keep me on standby in my own home. Suddenly another voice. Her sister, Brooke, 26F, must have been waiting in the car downstairs. She came marching up the walkway. Brooke, what is going on? Emily? Ryan, why is she locked out? Turning on the waterworks for her sister. He changed the locks. He's selling my car. He's throwing me out. Brooke, turning on me. Are you serious? After everything she's done for you, you just kick her out and sell her things? It's my apartment, Brooke, and it was my car. She asked for no contact and went on vacation with Jordan. Check her Instagram. We're done here. She needed space. You're supposed to support her, not punish her. Support her cheating on me? No thanks. She made her choice. Now she can live with it. Emily started demanding her stuff. Right now, at 9 p.m. Me. Not happening tonight. You can arrange a time to pick up your belongings. Send me a text with a date and time. I'll have them boxed up near the door. You won't be coming inside further than the entryway. You can't dictate. I can. My apartment. My rules now. You wanted no contact? This is the new contact arrangement. Text me a time. Goodbye. Close the door. Lock the deadbolt. My hands were shaking slightly. Adrenaline, anger, residual hurt, but mostly relief. It was done. The confrontation was over for now. Heard them outside for another 5 minutes, Emily yelling, Brooke trying to calm her down while probably fueling the fire. Then they left. Couple hours later, got a text. Not from Emily, from Brooke's phone. Brooke's text, Emily needs her things tomorrow, 10 a.m. Be ready. No please, no thank you, just pure demand. Replied, okay. Spent the next few hours boxing up Emily's clothes, toiletries, books, knickknacks, everything I could find. Piled it near the door, felt cleansing. The dealership called later that week, maybe Thursday, said the inspection was done. The final offer was firm at $16,350, slight adjustment for tire wear. Went down there Friday afternoon, signed the final title transfer docs, and they handed me the check. Deposited it immediately. Felt like closing a very expensive, emotionally draining chapter. Let's see what tomorrow, the pickup day, brings. Expecting more drama. Update 2, the last week has been something else. The entitlement levels just keep rising. It's almost impressive. The pickup, 10 a.m. on the dot, Wednesday, as scheduled in the previous update. Knock at the door. Not Emily. It was Brooke and their mom, Karen. Emily was waiting in the car, apparently too distraught to face me, right? Karen immediately launched into it. Tears in her eyes. Crocodile tears, I suspect. Karen, Ryan, how could you do this to her? After 2 years, she loves you. Apparently not enough to avoid vacationing with her ex while asking me for space, Karen. It was a mistake. She was confused. You should forgive her. And selling her car? That was cruel. She needs that for work. It was my car, Karen, legally mine, and her confusion led her to betray our relationship. Actions have consequences. The car is sold. Opened the door wider to show the boxes piled in the entryway. Me, here's her stuff. Take it all. Make sure you get everything, because this is the only chance. Sniffing disdainfully. We'll need to check the closets, the bathroom. Nope, you can take what's here in the entryway. I packed everything I could find. You are not coming further into my apartment. Don't be unreasonable, Ryan. What if you missed something? Me, then it's unfortunate. You can stand here, I'll stand here. Take the boxes, that's the deal. They clearly wanted to push past, maybe argue more, maybe find something valuable of Emily's they could claim I kept. Wasn't happening. They muttered under their breaths but started hauling boxes out. Took them 3 trips, all while Karen kept up a monologue about how heartless I was, how Emily was devastated, how I owed her compensation for the car. I just stood there, didn't engage much, repeated, it was my car, and she ended this like a broken record. The financial demands and smear campaign. Once they left, the text started. Mostly from Emily now, alternating between tearful apologies, I miss you, I made a huge mistake, please take me back, and furious demands. You owe me for the car, that was my money, I'll take you to small claims. I ignored the emotional texts. For the demands, I sent one reply. Me, Emily, the car was legally mine. Title, loan, insurance, all in my name. Your contributions were towards usage for the period you used it. Consider it rent. No further discussion. Then blocked her number. Blocked Brooke, blocked Karen. But it didn't stop. Suddenly some mutual friends started hitting me up. People I knew mostly through Emily. Their tone was accusatory. Dude, heard what you did to Emily. Kinda messed up. Selling her car like that? Cold. She was clearly spinning a sob story, painting me as the villain who randomly kicked her out and took her car out of spite. Conveniently leaving out the vacation with Jordan part, I'm sure. I briefly explained the situation, her text, the ex-vacation, the car legally being mine. To a couple of them I thought might be reasonable. Mixed results. Some got it, some clearly bought her narrative. Whatever. People believe what they want. Dirty trick attempt. Then came the call from my landlord's office yesterday. Apparently, they received an anonymous complaint about recent disturbances and loud arguments coming from my unit's vicinity. Claimed there was shouting and concern about confrontations. My blood ran cold for a second. This felt calculated, trying to get me in trouble. Thankfully, I have a decent relationship with the building manager. I calmly explained, my ex-girlfriend, who was living here but not on the lease, recently moved out after a breakup. There was a brief, loud argument outside my door when she discovered I changed the locks following her request for no contact and subsequent actions. Her family was also here briefly for a supervised pickup of her belongings. There have been no disturbances inside my unit, and she is no longer residing here. The manager seemed to understand. Said they'd note it down, but unless there were further verifiable complaints or actual disturbances, it wouldn't go anywhere. Pretty sure it was Emily or Brooke trying to cause trouble. Low blow. The X Factor got a message request on Instagram from Jordan, didn't open it, just deleted and blocked. Don't need or want to hear anything from him. Probably gloating or trying to stir the pot. My response, honestly, all this entitlement and the dirty tricks just solidify my decision. They aren't making me feel guilty, they're making me feel justified. This isn't just a mistake Emily made. This is who she is and who her enablers, Brooke, Karen, are. The revenge isn't some grand scheme, it's just letting them crash against the wall of reality. Apartment, secure. Lease is solely mine. Complaint went nowhere. Car sold. Money in my account. Legally airtight. Her stuff. Gone. Communication. Blocked on all channels. Any future attempts at contact, especially threats, will go straight to a lawyer for a cease and desist. Already consulted one briefly just to be safe. They confirmed my position on the car and apartment is solid. The constant demands, the victim narrative, the attempt to mess with my housing, it's disappointing. They genuinely believe they can bully and manipulate their way back into the comfortable setup Emily blew up. Newsflash, doesn't work that way. Now, I'm just focusing on cleaning up the mess emotionally. It's tough to realize the person you lived with and cared about is capable of this level of deceit and entitlement. But better to know now. Final update. It's been about 2 months since Emily came back from her little space-seeking trip with Jordan. Things have settled down, mostly because I refused to engage with the drama after that last update. Wanted to share the final resolution. The smear campaign continued for a bit. Lost a few superficial mutual friends who bought Emily's sob story. Honestly, good riddance. Anyone who takes her side without hearing the full story isn't someone I need in my life anyway. My real friends, the ones who knew me before Emily, were solid. They heard my side, saw the blatant disrespect, and supported me 100%. Emily apparently tried to escalate things legally, sort of. I got a vaguely threatening letter from some budget lawyer she must have scraped funds together for, demanding $10,000 for the value of her contributions to the car and emotional distress. It was full of typos and legal nonsense. My response? Had the lawyer I consulted send back a very formal, very concise letter. It included copies of the car title, loan agreement, and insurance policy, all solely in my name. A reminder that her contributions were for usage depreciation during the time she drove it, essentially rent, and she actually owed money if calculated per mile based on standard rates. A bluff, but made the point. A copy of her original "I need space, don't contact me" text. Screen grabs of the vacation photos with Jordan, timestamped public posts. A warning that any further unsubstantiated claims or harassment would result in me seeking legal fees and filing for a restraining order based on her previous attempts to cause issues with my landlord. Total silence after that. Her budget lawyer probably told her she had zero case and dropped her. Paying for a real legal battle was never an option for her, especially without my financial backing. Heard through the grapevine, a friend who still has minimal contact with one of Emily's less intense friends. What happened next? Emily crashed with Brooke for a while, which apparently caused massive friction because Emily expected Brooke to basically fund her life and didn't lift a finger. Shocking. Jordan? Predictably, he vanished once the vacation was over and reality set in. He wasn't interested in supporting her or dealing with her drama long term. He got his fun trip, end of story. She apparently tried guilt-tripping her parents, Karen, for money, probably with some success, but they couldn't bankroll her old lifestyle indefinitely. Last I heard, she had to move back to her hometown, living with her parents again. She's apparently complaining constantly about how unfair life is and how I ruined everything for her. Zero self-awareness, zero remorse, just pure uncut entitlement and victim mentality. The best part? The sweet, sweet sound of silence. No more demands, no more drama, no more Emily. My apartment feels like mine again. I actually repainted the living room last weekend, got rid of some of the furniture she picked out. Reclaiming the space feels good. The revenge wasn't loud or explosive, it was quiet and methodical. It was simply respecting her request for no contact and letting the logical consequences of her actions play out fully. She wanted space? She got an infinite amount of it. She prioritized a fling with her ex? She got to deal with the fallout alone. She took my support, apartment, car, for granted? She lost it the second she broke the trust it was built on. Selling the car she thought was hers, the car that was her status symbol, while she was literally sunning herself with another guy? Yeah, okay. That part felt truly satisfying, not gonna lie. That empty parking space when she got back? Chef's kiss. That's the consequence hitting hard and visibly. She didn't just lose a boyfriend, she lost the comfortable life she assumed was her right, funded by me. It cost me emotionally, yeah. Took time to process the betrayal, but I handled it logically, protected myself, and refused to be a doormat. She thought she could play games, keep me dangling. She miscalculated badly. She faced the direct, unavoidable consequences of her own choices, and her entitlement couldn't shield her. That's the most satisfying outcome I could ask for. Good riddance to Emily. Time to really move on. My girlfriend said, "I need space, don't contact me." I responded, "All right." Then I posted the vacation pics I found of her with another man, tagging his wife. Suddenly, my phone was blowing up with their panicked calls. Original post I 32M, let's call me Jonathan. I'm still reeling from the sheer audacity. It's actually been a full week since I took action and everything exploded. But the whole saga really began about 3 weeks ago now. That's when my girlfriend, Nicole, 29F, hit me with the "I need space" bombshell. Via text, of course. We'd been together 3 years, living in my house, my name, my mortgage, for the last 18 months. Things felt a bit distant, sure, but I thought it was just work stress on her end. The text came on a Saturday morning. Nicole, hey. Things are feeling really overwhelming for me lately. I think I need some space to myself, to just breathe and figure things out. Please don't contact me for a bit. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Hope you understand. Space. Never a good sign, but I'm a rational guy. Me, all right, Nicole, I understand. Take the time you need. Then radio silence, which she asked for. The week that followed her text was a blur of confusion and hurt. I replayed everything, wondering what I'd missed. Fast forward to Friday, February 7th, a week before I'm writing this initial post. I was mindlessly scrolling Facebook and a post from a mutual acquaintance pops up, a surprise romantic getaway album. And there's Nicole, looking far too happy and cozy with Brandon, 35M, a married colleague of hers. Champagne, hand-holding on the beach, the works. The dates lined up perfectly with her need for space. My stomach churned. Space was a cover for a secret trip with a married man. She hadn't just lied, she'd orchestrated this, expecting me to be none the wiser. The initial sting of betrayal quickly morphed into a cold, calculated anger. She wanted a consequence-free fling, keeping me as her backup plan in my own home. No, not happening. You want space, Nicole? Granted. And Brandon's wife, Rachel? A lovely woman who deserved to know about these spontaneous adventures. So, Saturday morning, February 8th, I got to work. I saved the most damning photos. The hotel room selfie, the beach hand-holding, a candlelit dinner shot where his arm was way too familiar. Undeniable. I crafted a new public Facebook post. Short, sharp, to the point. Heard you needed space, Nicole. Looks like you found it. Hope it was worth it. Oh, and Rachel, tag Brand's wife, thought you might want to see how your husband Brandon spends his business trips. Spontaneous adventures, soul connections, truth hurts. Attach the photos. Every single one. That immediate aftermath last week was insane. My phone went into meltdown about 30 minutes after that post went live. Then I blocked Nicole on all platforms. Phone, social media, everything. And I waited. Didn't have to wait long for the chaos to erupt. Update 1. My phone went into meltdown about 30 minutes after that post went live on Sat Feb 8th. Non-stop calls, texts, DMs from numbers I didn't recognize. It was glorious chaos. First, Brandon. Pure panic. Brandon. Jonathan. What the heck? Take that down. Now you have no idea what you're doing. Jonathan. I'm serious. This is my life. My marriage. Take it down. Nicole said you were basically over. Said you wouldn't care. So Nicole was already spinning tales for her affair partner. Noted. I didn't answer. Then, Nicole. The terror in her voice was a symphony. Jonathan, what did you do? Are you insane? You've ruined everything. Rachel called me screaming. Brandon is freaking out. Delete that post right now and tell everyone it was a joke. Nicole, another voicemail, now with tears. Please, Jonathan, please. My job. Brandon's job. His kids. You have to fix this. I'll do anything. Anything. The desperation was palpable, but the entitlement still shone through. The expectation that I'd clean up her mess. Next, the flying monkeys. Nicole's BFF Samantha, always superficial. Jonathan, that was a really rotten thing to do. Nicole is a mess. People make mistakes, taking it public and dragging Rachel into it. Low blow. Me, a mistake is forgetting milk, Samantha. A planned vacation with a married man while lying to me is betrayal. Rachel deserved to know. Period. Then Nicole's older sister, Pamela, 33F, who always treated Nicole like a saint. Jonathan, I cannot believe your cruelty. Nicole is heartbroken. Brandon's wife is going ballistic. You've potentially destroyed lives. Nicole told me you two were having problems. This is how you react? Me. Nicole wasn't figuring things out. She was having an affair. My reaction is to not be a doormat. Yes, I tagged Rachel. She deserved the truth. Blocked. The beauty was I didn't have to lift another finger. The truth was out. Their panic was the direct result of their actions seeing daylight. Rachel, Brandon's wife, sent a brief, polite DM. Thank you. I don't know all the details from your side, but the pictures speak for themselves. I appreciate you letting me know. I replied, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, Rachel. You deserve better. The Facebook post went viral locally. Nicole and Brandon were getting roasted. And Nicole? Still technically has all her stuff at my house. She'd asked for no contact, and I've honored that. No outreach from my end. Just that one very public mic drop. She's been trying to reach me from burner numbers, alternating between begging and vague threats. Lady, you detonated your own life. I changed the locks on Monday, Feb 10th. Simple. Effective. She hasn't tried to come back yet. Probably holed up somewhere, attempting damage control. Good luck with that. Let's see what happens when she finally surfaces for her belongings, or when Rachel makes her next move. This isn't over. Update 2. The past couple of weeks have been a masterclass in escalating entitlement from Nicole and her enablers, but the consequences are hitting them hard. The attempted siege, so about 5 days after the post, which was Saturday, Feb 8th, on Thursday evening, February 13th, my doorbell camera pings. It's Nicole, looking like she's been through a ringer. Tries her old key. No dice. Tries the smart lock. Access denied. Then the banging starts, full-on pounding. Nicole, yelling through the door. Jonathan, I know you're in there. Open this door. This is my home too. I have rights. I watched on the camera, silent. Her rights to my solely owned house vanished with her space trip. After more yelling and some tears, her phone comes out. Minutes later, a car pulls up. Pamela and their mother, Carolyn 60F, who views Nicole as a flawless angel. Carolyn. Jonathan, open this door immediately. You can't lock our Nicole out. She has belongings in there. This is cruel. Pamela, we're calling the police if you don't open up. This is harassment. Police? For changing locks on my own house after my non-resident girlfriend cheated? Be my guest. I stayed silent. They banged and yelled for another 10 minutes. Nicole wailing dramatically. Quite the show for the cul-de-sac. Eventually, they retreated, Carolyn practically dragging Nicole away. The smear and dirty tricks. Next, the smear campaign kicked into high gear. Mutual acquaintances started contacting me, fed sob stories by Nicole's camp. Heard you threw Nicole out with nothing. She says you were controlling and punished her for wanting independence. Brandon's wife is psycho. Nicole was just a supportive friend. You twisted it. The mental acrobatics were impressive. Nicole, the victim. Brandon, the misunderstood. Rachel, the psycho. Me, the villain. I gave a few key people the concise truth with a link to the post. Most got it. Then came the nasty stuff. First, a call from my boss. An anonymous party emailed HR claiming I was unstable, prone to violent outbursts, and creating a hostile environment by publicly harassing a colleague, Brandon. They even implied I might misuse sensitive company data. Thankfully, my boss knows me. We chatted, I explained, showed him Rachel's DM. HR did a cursory interview and it died. But the attempt to screw with my job? Desperate. Second, someone reported my car abandoned in front of my own house. An orange sticker. Cleared it up with a quick call, but still. Petty. Third, the pièce de résistance. Nicole, via Carolyn, demanded her share of the house. Carolyn left a voicemail claiming Nicole invested emotionally and did household upkeep. She sometimes bought bread, I paid the mortgage and all bills. So she was owed $50,000 for pain and suffering and loss of residence. I laughed and saved the voicemail. The Revenge Phase 2 Legal Edition. Their entitlement and dirty tricks pushed me. It was time for a more robust response. I hired a sharp lawyer. Step 1. Cease and desist. We fired off a C&D to Nicole, Pamela, and Carolyn. It detailed their harassment, defamation, and warned that further contact or attempts to damage my reputation property would result in immediate legal action, including damages and a restraining order. We attached their own texts and voicemails. Step 2. The belonging standoff. Nicole, through Carolyn, already breaching the C&D, demanded access to get her things. My lawyer's reply, Miss can provide a list of personal belongings. Mr. Jonathan's last name will pack them. A third party, not family, can collect them from the curb at an appointed time. No entry. Items not claimed in 7 days will be disposed of. The outrage from Carolyn was apparently epic. He can't do that. What if he breaks her things? My lawyer's cool response, provide the list. Step 3, the knockout. Brandon and Rachel. Rachel filed for divorce, naming Nicole for adultery. Public record. My lawyer formally offered Rachel's lawyer my cooperation and evidence. Nicole's space text, the post, her panicked voicemails, to counter any lies Brandon might tell in court. Brandon was trying to claim he was the victim. My evidence would vaporize that defense. The fallout for Nicole and Brandon is biblical. Brandon's reportedly on his brother's couch, career torched. Their conservative company was not amused by the scandal, and Rachel is taking him to the cleaners. Nicole, unemployable in her field locally. Back with Carolyn, who's now also under a C&D. The $50 demand vanished. They wanted war. They got a precision strike. Their entitlement bubble burst. Watching it happen? Truly priceless. Final update. It's been a few months now since the last barrage. The cease and desist, backed by the threat of actual legal teeth, worked like a charm. Silence. Sweet, beautiful silence. The great stuff purge. Nicole eventually sent a list of her belongings via Carolyn. Still pushing it, but my lawyer just documented it. It was ridiculously long, including things I'd bought for the house years before her. My lawyer sent back a revised list of items reasonably considered Miss Nicole's last name's personal property. I boxed it all. It was cathartic. Every cheap knick-knack, every self-help book on finding your truth, the irony was delicious. I might have accidentally damaged a few of her more annoying inspirational quote plaques. Whoops, she hired a man with a van. They came on a Saturday. I left the boxes on the driveway. Watched from my window. Nicole was a no-show. Pamela supervised from her car, looking like she'd sucked a lemon. Good. The aftermath for the villains. Rachel's divorce from Brandon is proceeding. Apparently my evidence was indeed helpful in her securing a very favorable interim settlement. Brandon is financially wrecked, reputationally ruined. Last I heard, he fled the state to live with his parents. Poetic justice. Nicole, oh sweet Nicole. Consequences hit her hard. Jobless, disgraced, living with mommy. Her attempts to play the victim online blew up once the affair details and Rachel's divorce filings became common knowledge. She deleted most of her social media. Her friends, like Samantha, bailed when she became a broke, unemployed pariah. Misery doesn't love company when that company offers no benefits. A mutual acquaintance told me Nicole actually complained that I should have warned her about the severity of the consequences. The sheer, unadulterated audacity. As if her actions were fine and only my reaction was the issue. Some people are incapable of self-reflection. My life now, peaceful. The house feels like mine again. I've been redecorating, purging her lingering influence. It feels good. Some of Nicole's extended family sent me messages about forgiveness. Ignored. They didn't know the full story of her deceit and subsequent harassment. The true revenge wasn't just the Facebook post. It was every methodical step afterwards, changing the locks, ignoring the hysterics, the cold legal letter that muzzled them. Watching them realize their usual tactics, manipulation, tears, victimhood, were useless against me. They expected drama. I gave them logic and consequences. I didn't set out to destroy lives. I protected my peace and exposed a betrayal. They wrecked their own lives with their choices and their refusal to accept responsibility. The financial ruin, social ostracism, career implosions, that was their own doing. I just pulled back the curtain, and yes, tagging Brandon's wife, knowing it would ignite his world too. That was specifically for every time Nicole had subtly belittled me, made me feel inadequate, all while she was plotting her adventures. That tag was the direct consequence of their joint betrayal. Zero regrets. They thought I was a doormat. They found out I'm a strategist. I sleep very well. Good riddance to Nicole, Brandon, and all their enablers. They got everything they truly deserved. After a year of constant disrespect while I worked 12-hour shifts to support my family, my wife and daughters shouted, "You're nothing but a paycheck. We hate living with you. You're dead to us." I left the house that night. Then I stopped paying for their designer clothes and blocked their credit cards. Now, they are apologizing and begging me to return. I'm Austin, 48 male. For the past year, maybe longer if I'm honest with myself, things at home have been rough. I work a demanding job. 12-hour shifts are common, sometimes more. It's stressful, but it paid the bills. More than paid them, actually. My wife, Gloria, 46, hasn't worked since our eldest, Marie, 20, was born. Our younger daughter, Teresa, 18, just started college. Or was supposed to be. Focusing on her studies, not her social calendar, which seemed to be her main priority. The disrespect started subtly. Snide comments about my clothes. Eye rolls when I talked about my day. Then it became more overt. Constant complaints that I wasn't fun anymore. That I was always tired. That I didn't buy them enough. Enough designer bags for Gloria, enough new gadgets for Marie, enough cash for Teresa's endless college expenses that mostly seemed to be brunches and concert tickets. The other night, it all came to a head. I came home, exhausted. The house was a mess, takeout containers everywhere. I asked, calmly, if anyone had thought about dinner or maybe tidying up. Gloria scoffed. Why would we? You're the one who makes the money. Isn't that your job? Marie chimed in, not even looking up from her phone. Yeah, Dad, seriously, we're not your maids. Then Teresa, bless her entitled heart, delivered the final blow. You're nothing but a paycheck. We hate living with you. You're dead to us. Gloria just nodded in agreement. Marie smirked. Something inside me just snapped. But not in a yelling way. It was a quiet snap, a decisive one. I looked at them, really looked at them. And I saw strangers I'd been bleeding myself dry for. I didn't say a word. I went upstairs, packed a small bag with essentials, my laptop, and my personal documents. Walked back down. They were still in the living room, probably expecting me to apologize or something. I just said okay, and I walked out. Stayed at a cheap motel that night. The next morning, first thing, I logged into my bank accounts. Salary goes into my personal account, always has. I paid all the essential joint household bills that were due, mortgage, utilities, based on average past usage, basic stuff. Then I called the credit card companies. The cards Gloria, Marie, and Teresa had, the ones linked to my main account with generous limits, reported as compromised to be safe, then requested they be fully canceled and deactivated, not just blocked. Confirmed their deactivation. I transferred a modest sum to our old joint checking account, enough for groceries for a week or two, nothing more. Then I changed the password to my own online banking and enabled two-factor authentication on everything. It's been 3 weeks since I left. I found a small furnished apartment. It's quiet. Too quiet sometimes, but peaceful. The silence is a hell of a lot better than the constant chipping away at my soul. My phone started blowing up about 24 hours after I left. First confusion, then annoyance, then outright rage when the cards started declining. Haven't answered a single call or text. Let them stew in it. Am I the a-hole for finally drawing a line? I don't even know anymore. Just tired. Update. Okay, so it's been another couple of weeks since I walked out, 5 weeks total now. The peace and quiet in my new place? Still golden. The drama from the old house? Predictably, it's escalated. The initial barrage of angry calls and texts eventually died down, replaced by a different tactic. Guilt trips, voicemails from Gloria, her voice dripping with false concern. Austin, honey, are you okay? We're so worried. Please just come home, we can talk about this. Yeah, right. Talk means me resuming my role as the human ATM. Then Marie started. Texts like, Dad, my sorority has a formal, I need a new dress. My card isn't working. This is so embarrassing. Followed by, seriously, Dad, you're gonna ruin my social life because you're having a meltdown? Teresa's approach was more direct. My allowance didn't come through. Fix it. I have bills. Her bills are probably for avocado toast and a new vape. The best part? Gloria's sister Janice decided to weigh in. She called me, left a long, rambling voicemail about how I'm abandoning my family, how Gloria is a wreck, doubtful, probably just inconvenienced, and how I need to man up and fix the mess I created. Apparently, me expecting basic human decency and not wanting to be treated like a walking wallet is me creating a mess. Good to know. I continued to pay the mortgage and the budgeted amount for essential utilities on the house directly from my account. I'm not a monster. I don't want them on the street. But the gravy train? Derailed. Permanently. A few days ago, Gloria managed to get a new credit card in her own name, or tried to. Surprise! With no income of her own for 2 decades, her credit score is probably in the toilet. She must have found out the hard way because the tone of her messages shifted again. Now it's demands. You will reactivate my cards. You will transfer my allowance. Lol. Her allowance. The audacity. Marie tried a different angle. She showed up at my office. My workplace has decent security, so she didn't get past the lobby. My colleague, a good guy named Noah, called me to say a very upset young woman was demanding to see me. I told him to tell her I was in a meeting and unavailable. She apparently caused a bit of a scene, crying about how her father abandoned her and she couldn't afford her tuition, which I'd already paid directly to the college for the current semester for both girls. Security eventually escorted her out. A little embarrassing for me, but also validating. Her behavior just confirmed I made the right call. The most recent development, I got a letter from a lawyer. Not a scary official one, just a vaguely threatening letter drafted by what looks like a bottom-feeder attorney Gloria must have found. It hinted at financial abandonment and spousal support and blah blah blah. My own lawyer, who I consulted the week I left, had a good chuckle over it. He said it's mostly bluster at this stage. I've been documenting everything. Every disrespectful text, every entitled demand, every voicemail, just in case. The quiet in my apartment feels less like loneliness and more like freedom every day. Still moments of sadness, of course. Decades of my life were tied up with them. But the constant knot in my stomach? Gone. They really thought I was just a machine that spits out cash. Time for a system update, I guess. Update. Alright, buckle up, because the Entitlement Express has officially gone off the rails and crashed into a dumpster fire. Things have escalated. It's now 8 weeks since I left. So, after Marie's little stunt at my office, I had a chat with HR and building security, just to make sure they knew the situation and that under no circumstances were any of them to be allowed up. They were very understanding. Gloria, after her lawyer's letter didn't magically make money appear, apparently tried a new tactic. About a week ago, I noticed on my old credit card statements, the ones now fully closed, several declined transaction attempts from high-end department store websites. They were actually trying the old canceled card numbers. Just got a transaction denied notification from the closed account's history. Pathetic and a little alarming, they'd even try. Good thing those cards are truly dead. Just shows their desperation. Then came the utilities. Remember how I said I was paying the budgeted amount for essentials? Well, with me not there to nag them about turning off lights or not running the AC at full blast 24/7, their electricity bill skyrocketed. The water bill too. I got a notification that the auto payment for the electricity bill was declined because the total bill exceeded the pre-authorized budgeted limit I'd set for that specific utility payment. The calls started again, this time panicked. Gloria, Austin, the power company is threatening to cut us off. You have to pay this. Me, via text, keeping it brief. The agreed budget was paid. Overages are your responsibility. Her, but we don't have any money. This is your fault. My internal thought, my fault you can't live within a reasonable budget? Interesting. Marie and Teresa apparently decided to help. I found out from a former neighbor, who I still chat with occasionally, that they tried to have a yard sale. Selling, wait for it, my old tools, my golf clubs, and some of my clothes I'd left behind in the main closet. My neighbor, bless her, actually called me when she saw it happening. I immediately called my lawyer. He drafted a cease and desist letter so fast it made my head spin. Sent it via courier to the house. The sale stopped pretty quick after that. Some of my stuff was already gone, apparently sold for pennies on the dollar. Infuriating. But also kind of pathetic on their part. Gloria's sister Janice resurfaced. This time she ambushed me at a coffee shop I frequent near my new place. How she found out I go there I have no idea, probably got it from Gloria. Janice. Austin, this has gone on long enough. You're tearing your family apart. Gloria is selling her jewelry to buy groceries. Me, good, maybe she'll learn the value of money. You're being cruel. They are your family. They defined our relationship pretty clearly. I was a paycheck. The paycheck is no longer dispensing funds beyond its obligations. She huffed and puffed about me being heartless and stormed out. The selling her jewelry part was interesting. Probably the cheap stuff first, the really expensive pieces I bought her over the years. I bet she's holding on to those for dear life. My lawyer has advised me to formally start divorce proceedings. He says it's the cleanest way to separate everything legally and protect myself further. So the papers were drawn up and served to Gloria last week, around week 7 since I left. She apparently refused to accept them from the process server initially. Threw a fit on the front lawn, according to the server's report. Classy. My lawyer also included a formal notice stating that since the house is my sole premarital property, they would have 60 days from the date of that notice to vacate, as I intend to sell it. The begging has started in earnest now. Texts, voicemails, from all 3 of them. Dad, I'm so sorry. Austin, please, I made a mistake. we miss you. Translation, we miss your money. I haven't responded to those. It's too little, too late. The words, you're dead to us, and you're nothing but a paycheck are burned into my brain. You don't get to detonate a bomb in someone's life and then complain about the fallout when you're standing in the crater. The house, by the way, is solely in my name. Bought it before we were married. Another thing my lawyer is very pleased about. They are essentially living in my property without contributing. The clock is ticking on that 60-day notice. Still sleeping better, still eating better, still feeling lighter. It's a weird journey. Update. It's been a while, roughly 4.5 months since I walked out. The divorce is proceeding slowly, as Gloria hired that same cheap lawyer who is now trying to argue for a larger settlement, despite the premarital status of the house. My lawyer remains unconcerned about the outcome. So, the reckoning. It wasn't one big cinematic moment. It was a series of small, painful, for them, realities hitting one after another. The 60-day notice to vacate, which was served around week 7, expired at approximately week 15.5. As predicted, they didn't leave by that deadline. My lawyer then had to initiate formal eviction proceedings. It was unpleasant and dragged on for a few weeks with them trying every stalling tactic imaginable. They finally moved out literally the day before the sheriff was scheduled to enforce the eviction order, sometime around last week, week 18. After the divorce papers and the notice to vacate were served, the tone of their communication had already shifted. The apologies became more frequent, more desperate. Marie called, actually crying, a few weeks before they were finally out of the house. Dad, I can't afford my rent for my apartment at college for the upcoming semester. The dorm was full. My campus job barely covers food. I might have to drop out. Me, that's unfortunate, Marie. Perhaps you could look into student loans or find a better paying job, or adjust your spending habits. Your first semester's tuition was covered. Her, but you always paid before. Me, yes, I did, when I was valued as more than a funding source. Click, harsh, maybe, but true. Teresa, the one who said I was dead to her, actually sent me a handwritten letter during the eviction mess, full of remorse apparently, saying she didn't mean it, she was just angry and parroting what she heard, begging me to fix things. The letter was stained with what looked like tear marks. I almost felt something. Almost. Then I remembered her sneer as she said those words. She finished her first semester, the one I paid for, and has now officially deferred her next college semester. Rumor has it she's working at a fast food place to save money. Gloria's big moment of full realization probably came watching the movers take her things out of my house. Her calls during the eviction process were nuclear. Screaming, crying, threatening. Gloria, you can't kick us out. This is our home. Where will we go? Gloria, you had over 2 months' notice plus the time the eviction process took. You could get a job. Marie and Teresa are adults, they can contribute, or you can find a smaller, more affordable place with the settlement money I've offered. A job, after all these years I dedicated to you and the girls? The girls who said I was dead to them? The wife who agreed? My contributions were clear. Yours became less so. She then went on about how Janice, her sister, said I was a monster and how all her friends pitied her. Your friends who enjoyed the dinners and parties funded by the paycheck? I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it. The fallout. The house. It's finally empty. I had to change the locks and get it professionally cleaned. It was a mess. It's now on the market. Gloria and Teresa moved in with Janice, cramped I hear. Marie is trying to make a go of it near her college, still struggling with rent and likely couch surfing or in a very cheap shared place. The money. The settlement I offered is still on the table, placed in escrow. Gloria is still fighting for more through her lawyer, but their arguments are weak given the circumstances. The designer clothes and bags? I saw more of them listed on a high-end consignment site. Not getting what they paid for them, I'm sure. The daughters. Marie apparently did have to take out student loans for her current semester and is working 2 part-time jobs. She looks stressed in the one photo I saw of her on social media. A friend of a friend shared it. Teresa, having deferred, is indeed working full-time at that fast food place. A far cry from her brunches and concerts lifestyle. The revenge here isn't some grand scheme. It's simply the implementation of boundaries and the natural consequences of their actions. They devalued me, treated me as a utility. So I turned off the service. Do I feel good? Not good in a gleeful, fist-pumping way. There's a deep sadness that this is what my family became, but I feel justified. And I feel a profound sense of relief. The constant tension, the walking on eggshells, the feeling of being perpetually used, it's gone. My little apartment feels like a sanctuary. I'm reconnecting with old friends, focusing on my health. Even started a hobby I'd long neglected. I'm still working my shifts, but they don't feel as soul-crushing now that I know the money I earn is for my future, my peace. Sometimes I get a random text. "I miss you, Dad," from Marie late one night, or an email from Gloria detailing her woes. I don't respond. The Austin ATM is permanently closed. They made their choices. They shouted their feelings from the rooftops. Actions have consequences. They're learning that the hard way. Maybe one day, years from now, a different kind of relationship might be possible with my daughters. A repaired one, built on something real. But with Gloria? No. That chapter is closed, locked, and the key thrown away. For now, I'm just focusing on moving forward. One quiet, peaceful day at a time. They wanted me dead to them. Well, the part of me that existed solely to fund their lifestyle is certainly gone. Be careful what you wish for. After an argument, my girlfriend posted my private medical records online to humiliate me. I didn't reply. Instead, I had my lawyer send her a "see you in court" email. The post vanished and she was left frantically leaving tearful voicemails begging me to call it off. I'm 29 male. For 2 years, I thought my relationship with Amanda, 27, was the real deal. I genuinely believed we were on the same team. I learned last week that we weren't even playing the same sport. It all detonated over something that should have been a non-issue. I have an autoimmune condition. It's a daily grind of chronic pain and fatigue that I manage, but some days it wins. Last Saturday was one of those days. We had a friend's barbecue to go to, and I told Amanda I just couldn't. The pain was too intense. I needed to stay home and rest. She lost it. It wasn't just disappointment, it was contempt. She called me lazy, an attention seeker, and accused me of using my illness as an excuse to avoid her friends. The argument got heated, and she said some things that cut deep, calling my condition convenient and me pathetic. Then she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the photos on the wall rattled. I was too hurt and exhausted to even process it. I took my medication and crashed on the sofa. Hours later, I woke up to my phone buzzing like a trapped hornet. A flood of texts, DMs, missed calls. My friend Timothy sent a screenshot with the text, "I am so sorry, man. What is she doing?" I opened the image and the world went quiet. It was a public post from Amanda. She had taken a photo of a diagnostic letter from my specialist, a letter I kept in a folder in my desk drawer. It detailed my specific autoimmune disorder, the medications, the long-term outlook, my private, vulnerable truth. Above the photo, she'd written, "For everyone who's ever wondered why my boyfriend is so flaky and always cancels plans, here's why. Apparently he has a super serious and very real condition, or maybe he's just the best actor I know. You be the judge. #drama queen, man-child, someone's get this Guyano scar." I felt a hot, dizzying wave of nausea. This wasn't anger, not yet. It was profound shock, humiliation. The feeling of being emotionally naked in a town square. My name wasn't on the letterhead, but it didn't need to be. Our friends, colleagues, and acquaintances all knew. My first instinct wasn't to scream or call her. It was to take meticulous screenshots. The post. Every single comment, the ones from her friends egging her on, and the few from my friends trying to defend me. I saved everything to a secure folder. The initial shock slowly began to curdle into a cold, hard knot of anger in my stomach. This wasn't a mistake. This was a deliberate act of cruelty. I spent the rest of the night in a daze. The next day, I didn't go to work. I just sat there, thinking. A conversation wouldn't fix this. An apology wouldn't erase it. This was a violation so deep that it required a response she couldn't ignore or manipulate. I spent hours researching privacy and defamation lawyers. I found a reputable firm and filled out their consultation form, attaching the evidence. I didn't expect a reply for days, but a paralegal emailed me back that afternoon to schedule a call with one of their lawyers, a Mr. Ronald, for the following day. The call was sobering. Mr. Ronald was professional and direct. He confirmed that what Amanda had done was a serious civil offense, public disclosure of private facts, with a strong case for defamation given the mocking caption. He laid out a path forward. He didn't promise a massive payday or a dramatic courtroom victory. He talked about strategy. His first recommended step wasn't a lawsuit. It was a formal cease and desist letter. It would be sent via email and registered post. It would demand the immediate and permanent removal of the post, a formal apology, and it would state that we reserve the right to pursue full legal damages if the demands weren't met. It was the first official shot across the bow. "I want to proceed," I told him, my voice steady for the first time in 24 hours. "She needs to understand that this isn't a game." The letter was sent that afternoon. For about 4 hours, silence. Then the post vanished. My phone lit up a minute later. It was Amanda. I stared at her name, then hit decline. It went to voicemail. Voicemail 1, panicked. "Brian? What was that email? My dad saw it. He's freaking out. A lawyer? Are you serious? I took the post down. Look, it's gone. This is insane. You're taking this way too far. Call me back. This is a huge misunderstanding." Another call. Voicemail. Voicemail 2, voice shifting from tears to indignation. "A lawsuit? Are you really threatening to sue me? It was a stupid joke, Brian. I was mad. You can't do this to me. My parents will lose their minds. This could mess up my career. Just call me. We can fix this, please." The voicemails kept coming. Each one was a masterclass in non-apology. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was terrified of the consequences. And as I listened to her panic, that cold knot in my stomach solidified into resolve. This was the right path. This was the only path. Update 1. Hey everyone. Thank you for the supportive comments. It's been a draining week, but your messages have been a bright spot. I'm still not talking to Amanda. As per Mr. Ronald's advice, all communication must go through him. This has not gone over well with Amanda's family. The voicemails continued for 2 days. I have them all saved. After the tearful begging failed, the tone shifted to anger and entitlement. One gem was, "I'm the one who looks like a psycho now because you couldn't just talk to me. You've made this so much worse." The lack of self-awareness is a marvel. Then, her father, George, got involved. He didn't call me. He's too smart for that. He sent me an email. The subject line was a misunderstanding. The email was patronizingly friendly. He called the incident an unfortunate overreaction. On my part, he wrote about how Amanda was deeply distraught and had learned her lesson. He then suggested that we should all handle this like adults and put it behind us, for the sake of the wonderful relationship Amanda and I had. He finished by saying that dragging lawyers into a simple lover's quarrel was unnecessary and would only lead to unpleasantness for everyone involved. The subtext was crystal clear. It wasn't an overt threat, but it was an unmistakable warning. I forwarded it to Mr. Ronald, who called it beautifully arrogant and a textbook example of someone who thinks they can smooth things over without taking any real responsibility. Amanda's response to the cease and desist via an expensive-looking lawyer of her own came 2 days later. It was dismissive. They acknowledged the post was taken down but refused a formal apology. Her lawyer claimed the post was a momentary lapse in judgment, and that my refusal to communicate directly was evidence of my intent to escalate for financial gain. They essentially told us to get lost. Mr. Ronald's reaction was calm. "Good," he said. "They've put their position in writing. They're refusing to take this seriously. Now we can proceed to the next step. Filing the lawsuit is a big step. It's expensive and it's public." I hesitated for a moment, wondering if this was really what I wanted. Then Amanda made the decision for me. A mutual friend, who is more my friend than hers, sent me another screenshot. This time, it was from a private group chat that Amanda was in. She had posted a long message, a carefully crafted narrative painting herself as the victim. In this version, she wrote that she'd been worried sick about my increasingly erratic behavior and reliance on painkillers. She claimed she posted the letter in a moment of desperation, hoping one of our friends who is a doctor might see it and offer advice because I was so scared. She then wrote that my lawsuit was a vindictive and manipulative attempt to extort money from my family because I was jealous of her career success. Reading those calculated lies, seeing her twist my chronic illness into an addiction narrative to save her own skin, any hesitation I had evaporated. She wasn't just refusing to apologize. She was actively trying to destroy my reputation to anyone who would listen. I called Mr. Ronald. "File it," I said. "Let's move forward." The lawsuit is being drafted. It's no longer just about a humiliating post. It's about a systematic refusal to accept responsibility and a malicious campaign to rewrite the truth. They think this is a game of PR. They're about to find out it's a game of evidence. Update 2. Hello again. It's been a while. The wheels of justice grind slowly, and the last 2 months have been a masterclass in frustration and resolve. The lawsuit was officially filed, and Amanda was served at her apartment. No dramatic scene at her office. Mr. Ronald advised against anything that could be painted as deliberately inflammatory. The real fireworks started after she was served. About a week later, I was called into a meeting with my boss and a manager from HR. My stomach dropped. I knew what this was. I had been preemptively warned by Mr. Ronald that this might be their next move. HR had received a complaint. It was filed by an anonymous source expressing concern about a pattern of unstable and aggressive behavior from me in the workplace. It vaguely referenced my health struggles and how they might be impacting my judgment and temperament. The language was slick, corporate, and clearly written by a lawyer to cause maximum damage while maintaining plausible deniability. George's email about unpleasantness wasn't a bluff. This was the moment I had dreaded. But I was prepared. I walked into the meeting with a file. I didn't get emotional. I calmly laid out the facts for my boss and the HR manager. I showed them a printed copy of Amanda's social media post. I showed them the cease and desist and her lawyer's dismissive response. I explained that I had just filed a lawsuit and that this anonymous complaint was, in my view, a clear act of retaliation. The HR manager's face was unreadable. He didn't immediately take my side. He listened, collected my documents, and said, "Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Brian. We take all complaints seriously. We will look into this." My boss was more sympathetic, but told me to keep my head down and focus on work. It was terrifying. For 2 weeks, I worked under a cloud of suspicion. I felt like every email I sent, every conversation I had was being scrutinized. It was a calculated move to destabilize me, to isolate me, and to potentially get me fired to discredit my lawsuit. The next attack was more personal. My younger sister, Melissa, called me, confused and upset. Amanda had contacted her on social media. She didn't call, which would have been too direct. She sent a long, rambling message full of feigned concern. She spun the same lie she'd put in her group chat, that I was abusing medication, that she was scared for me, that I was unstable. She begged my sister to talk some sense into me and get me to drop this horrible lawsuit that was destroying her. This was the move that truly severed the last thread of any past affection I might have had. Trying to manipulate my family, to turn my own sister against me by painting me as an addict. It was vile. I sat down with Melissa, showed her everything, the post, the emails, the legal documents. She was furious on my behalf. "She's not just a bad ex-girlfriend, Brian," she said. "She's a genuinely bad person." Meanwhile, the legal battle churned on. Amanda's lawyers filed their response to our suit. It was a work of fiction. They claimed the post was intended for a small, private audience. It was public. That her caption was an expression of concern. It was mockery. And that my condition wasn't private because I had told a few close friends about it. They then filed a frivolous countersuit against me for malicious prosecution and causing emotional distress. Mr. Ronald was unfazed. He told me that these aggressive, baseless tactics were common for defendants with no real defense. "They are trying to make the process so expensive and so miserable for you that you give up," he explained. "Our job is to show them that we will not." The attempt to get me fired failed. After 2 agonizing weeks, HR concluded their review. The official feedback was a sterile email stating that the complaint could not be substantiated. The cloud over my head lifted, but the stress had taken its toll. This entire process was affecting my health, which was the ultimate irony. They were trying to bury me. But every malicious email, every lie to my family, every baseless legal filing was just another piece of evidence. They thought they could grind me down. They didn't realize they were just handing my lawyer more ammunition. Final update. Hey everyone, this will be my final update. The past 6 months have been a slow, quiet, and brutal war of attrition fought through legal documents and scheduled proceedings. It's finally over. We settled out of court a month ago. For anyone hoping for a public trial, I understand the appeal. But Mr. Ronald explained that a settlement gave us control, certainty, and a better outcome than risking the unpredictability of a trial. He was right. The tipping point was the deposition phase. My deposition was grueling, but I stuck to the facts. Amanda's was a disaster for her case. Under oath, confronted with her own social media posts, emails, and the timeline of her actions, her stories fell apart. Mr. Ronald didn't grill her dramatically. He just calmly asked her to reconcile her claim that the post was a cry for help with the mocking hashtags she used. He asked her to explain why her concerned message to my sister was sent after my lawsuit was filed. There was no big breakdown, just a series of long, damning silences and muttered, "I don't recall," that were recorded by the stenographer. Her father George's deposition was even more revealing. When presented with his friendly email, he was forced to admit under oath that he had tried to intervene in a pending legal matter. It completely undermined their entire narrative that they were the victims of an aggressive lawsuit. Shortly after the depositions, their lawyer called ours. They wanted to settle. The first offer was insulting. They'd pay a portion of my legal fees. We refused. The negotiations dragged on for weeks. They fought over every single point, but the evidence was overwhelmingly in our favor. They had no real defense, only bluster, and they knew a jury would likely see right through it. Here are the final terms of the settlement. The financial consequence. The settlement they paid was substantial. I can't disclose the number, but it was a solid six-figure sum. It's not never work again money, but it is enough to cover all my legal expenses, create a significant emergency fund specifically for my medical needs, and provide a down payment for a small apartment. It's security. It's peace of mind. Mr. Ronald successfully argued that the amount should reflect not just the initial act, but the documented campaign of harassment and attempted reputational damage that followed. The written admission. This was my non-negotiable term. Amanda had to sign a formal, legally binding statement. It wasn't a fluffy apology. It was a factual document, reviewed by both legal teams, that states she publicly disclosed private medical information without consent, that her accompanying public statements were defamatory in nature, and that she retracts any and all false claims made about my character to third parties. It is a powerful document. It's my insurance. If she or her family ever breaches the non-disparagement clause of our agreement, I am free to make that signed admission public. The natural fallout. I haven't sought out information about her, but a few things have trickled back to me. Her social media is now completely private. The friend who sent me the group chat message mentioned that Amanda's circle of friends fractured badly over this. Some were disgusted when they learned the truth. Others just didn't want to be associated with the drama. I don't know if she lost her job, and I don't care to know. Her life is her own mess now. My concern is my own peace. As for me, I'm recovering. This process was brutal. It took a significant toll on my mental and physical health. There was no single moment of triumph, no fist-pumping victory. When Mr. Ronald called to tell me they'd accepted our final terms, I didn't feel elation. I just felt quiet. The tension I'd been carrying in my body for 8 months began to unwind, and I was just exhausted. The betrayal left a scar. I'm more cautious now, slower to trust. The world feels a bit sharper edged than it did before, but I'm moving forward. I'm focusing on my health, my work, and the real friends who supported me without question. I stood up for myself. I saw it through to the end, and I achieved a real, tangible form of justice. It wasn't easy or clean, but it was necessary. I refused to be a victim, and in the quiet aftermath, I'm finding my way back to being myself. Thank you all for listening.